Good morning to our invited speakers and our distinguished guests. Welcome to the International Symposium on the second day. My name is Chanokchon Sisonhorn, and graduated student from the Faculty of Archaeology, Suphannabat University, will be an English MC for today.
สวัสดีท่านวิทยากรและแขกผู้มีเกียรติทุกท่านนะคะวันนี้ขอต้อนรับเข้าสู่งานเสวนานานาชาติ Art and Culture in Asia ในวันที่ 2 ดิฉันนางสาววรรณชพรศรีสุวรรณนักศึกษาคณะโบราณคดีค่ะรับหน้าที่เป็นพิธีกรภาคภาษาไทย
At this morning, the lecture topic of the first two speakers is still related to art and culture in Asia since the 14th century AD onwards. But the first topic is a study of the Suphannabat royal inscriptions forms of Siam in the Palace Museum by คุณซุนเจอรีค่ะ
สำหรับในช่วงเช้านี้หัวข้อของวิทยากรทั้งสองท่านแรกยังคงเกี่ยวข้องกับประเด็นเรื่องศิลปะและวัฒนธรรมในเอเชียตั้งแต่คริสตศตวรรษที่ 14 โดยหัวข้อแรกของวันนี้ก็คือ A study of the Suphannabat royal inscription form of Siam in the Palace Museum โดยคุณซุนเจอรีค่ะ
คุณซุนเจอรี graduated with a master of Cultural Heritage and Museology from Minju University of China and had the opportunity to participate in the internship program at Kasem Bandit University. Currently, Kun Sun Jeli is a researcher of the Palace Museum or Forbidden City at Beijing, China.
คุณซุนเจอรีจบการศึกษาระดับปริญญาโทด้านมรดกวัฒนธรรมและพิพิธภัณฑ์จากหมินจู University of China และเคยได้มีโอกาสเข้าร่วมโครงการฝึกงานที่มหาวิทยาลัยเกษมบัณฑิตปัจจุบันคุณซุนเจอรีเป็นนักวิจัยของ The Palace Museum หรือพระราชวังต้องห้ามประเทศจีนค่ะ
May I invite Kun Sun Jeli to begin the lecture? Wait a minute.
อีกสักครู่เราจะเข้าสู่การบรรยายในหัวข้อแรกนะคะโดยคุณซุนเจอรีค่ะ
Good morning, everyone. It's my honor to be invited here to make a presentation. And my topic is about the Suphannabat royal inscription form collected by the Palace Museum. This presentation includes 4 parts. The first one is a brief introduction, and the second one is the main work of this research, and the third one is findings of the research, and the last one is a brief summary. The Suphannabat royal inscription is Thai language. It's called everyone maybe know this. พระสุพรรณบาทสุวรรณพระราชสาร were the official credentials of Siam as well as the certificate of sending invoice. There were 26 inscriptions collected by the Palace Museum, and 15 suits were about Siam, and 5 suits were about Burma. There's a picture below this slide. I will show every listeners. The 15 suits inscriptions of Siam were delivered to Qing court during the Emperor Jiaqing, Daoguang, and Xianfeng. The main work of this research includes four parts. The first one is called the information of the Suphannabat royal inscription of Siam in the Qing dynasty by consulting the historical records and archives belonging to the Qing dynasty. In China, the amount of the ancient book and archives are big. And so through the records of the ancient book and archives, we can get some detailed information about the size, the weight, the decoration, and the history background of the inscription. Secondly, make a careful observation of the 5 Suphannabat royal inscriptions had been delivered by the Siam tribute envoys in Jiaqing, Daoguang, Xianfeng. It's an important step to do this research because not only based on the information of the ancient book and archives, also the collections is very important. Through the careful observation, we can get more detailed information about the size, the weight, the decoration, and even the text carved in the inscription. And thirdly, based on the 2 steps before, we can make we can make a summary about the obvious characteristics of the Suphannabat royal inscription collected by the Palace Museum, because compare the records of the ancient book and archives to the collections collected by the museum, we can make clearly information about the characteristics of the inscription. Last, based on the obvious characteristics we get, and based on this, we can trace back the history of the inscription by consulting the records of the South China Sea countries in the 24 history and other ancient books. So in this way, we can get more information about the inscription which have the similar form in the history. Okay, the findings of the research. The first one is the inscription are the official credentials of Siam, as well as the certificates of sending invoice. A set of inscription consists of the gold petroglyph inscription. The picture is here. And the gold tube. This one is the gold tube. The mother of pearl inlaid box. In Chinese, we call it 罗甸盒, just like this. And the gold size box. This also the mother of pearl inlaid box. Second, the form of the Suphannabat royal inscription comes from the Petroglyph Sutra. It's my research. I have been to the Suphannabat in province last month for this research, and this one picture is a silver petroglyph. It was excavated in a temple site. And this one, and this one. We can see this picture. The form is very similar with the sutra, right? There's some dai words caved in the silver petroglyph. It's also excavated from the temple site. Not only in the Buddhism, we can see these collections in the Yunnan Province Museum. It's an appointment of the headman in Suphannabat. The form of this appointment is similar with before the collections. It's my own opinion. I think the petroglyph is very normal in Southeast Asia, and there's different qualities of the petroglyph. For example, there's gold petroglyph, and there's silver petroglyph, and there's petroglyph. You can see this picture. It's gold petroglyph. It belongs to Siam, and this one is silver petroglyph. It belongs to Burma. The ancient book and the archive, they record these yin. In Chinese, it's called yin, silver petroglyph. It belongs to Burma, and this one is Chinese called Puye petroglyph. It belongs to Nanzhang. Some scholars said Nanzhang now located in Laos. Thirdly, according to the historical records, the gold petroglyph inscriptions were first sent to China from the ancient country Chitu in Sui Dynasty. The actual time may be even earlier. And later, during the Tang, Song, Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasty, many countries in the South China Sea deliver a gold petroglyph inscription to China with a similar form. This is the record in the ancient books. Its name is Chinese called Chitu. Now it may be located in the Mekong River Basin or Malay Peninsula or the Sumatra, Indonesia. It's difficult to say where it's actually located. But the records in the ancient book they clearly said that this inscription was made by gold, and the shape likes petroglyph. 铸金为多罗叶，铸金 means made by gold. 多罗叶 means the petroglyph. In Tang Dynasty, there's a country in Chinese. It's called Touhe. It's Theravada. The record said 前史以黄金函内表. It's 黄金 is gold. 表 is the inscription. In Song Dynasty, there are 3 countries that sent the gold petroglyph inscription to China. The first one is Zhenlifu. Based on the research of different scholars, it may be located in the Canterbury, Thailand, Barria, Vietnam, Siem Reap, Cambodia, Phetchaburi, Thailand. And in the record, it said the inscription is 金打卷子. 金 means gold. 卷子 means just like a paper, or the shape is similar with the petroglyph. And the second one is Puduanguo. Now it may located in the Mindanao Islands, Philippines, Pagan, Myanmar. The record says its inscription is 金版卷表. 金版, it means made by gold. 卷表, it's present give our information about how the words to write in the inscription. 卷 in 卷 means calf. 卷表 means carved words in the inscription. The third one is Sanfoqi. Now it may be located in the Sumatra, Indonesia. And it said the inscription is 金字表. 金 is made by gold. 字 it said there are words in the inscription. 金字表. Yeah. The next dynasty is Yuan dynasty. There are 4 countries sent the golden petroglyph to China. The first one is Xian. In Chinese, it's Xuan. It's the Sukhothai. It said Chengzong Yuanzhen Yuannian. Actually, I didn't search the actual time of this, but this record was right in the Yuan in the Yuan Shi, the history of Yuan. Yeah, it says 金字表 is similar with before, and the second country is Miandian and Myanmar, and it says there's 3 level, 3 level to 3 level inscriptions to give to the king, to give to the emperor. The first level is made by gold, and the second level is made by paper, and the third level is made by a leaf of a kind of plant. And the third country is Java. It may located in Java Island, Indonesia. It said 金字表. And the fourth one is Malabar, Malabar, India, and now located. It said his inscription is 金叶书. 金叶, you know, gold petroleif. And the fifth, during the Ming Dynasty, some countries from the region include the mainland Southeast Asia, the island Southeast Asia, South Asia, and West Asia has the practice of using the gold petroleif inscriptions. And since this time, it had been called 金叶表文. This is the record in the ancient book. In Ming Dynasty, there were 7 countries to deliver gold petroleif to China. The first one is Zhancheng. You can see it says 金叶表. The third one is Xianluo. You can see the record in the ancient book. It's also called 金叶表. And from Ming Dynasty, from this time, it's called 金叶表. Before this time, different dynasties have different name about the inscription. The third is Pengheng. The fourth, Bangala. The fifth is Xiang Suoli. And the sixth is Balaxi. And the seventh are Hormuz. Okay, a brief summary. The Suphannabat royal inscription is a witness to the long-standing convenient relationships between Qing and Siam. As original records about the relation of Siam and Qing, the research of these inscriptions can help us get a deeper understanding about the history. Thank you.
Thank you, Kun Xunze, from the Palace Museum of China for an interesting lecture.
ขอขอบคุณคุณซุนเจ๋อหลีจากนักวิจัยจาก The Palace Museum ประเทศจีนสำหรับการนำเสนอที่น่าสนใจค่ะ
And we have provided microphone for you. If any participants has a questions, please inform the staff. Thank you.
ในขณะนี้หากมีผู้ใดที่สนใจจะสอบถามคุณซุนเจ๋อหลีเพิ่มเติมสามารถติดต่อสตาฟได้เลยค่ะ
老师您好，我直接用中文询问可以吗？
可以，谢谢。
谢谢。就是刚刚您在好像是第1页或者第2页的时候提到有20套的金箔文，对吗？你听到声音吗？行。不好意思，老师听到我声音吗？好，刚刚开始的时候，你有提到有那个这些金箔文，总共有20套的，15套是来自泰国的，然后5套是关于缅甸的。就是想大概咨询一下那个这些金箔文它记载的内容有一些什么呢
？I said English or the Chinese. Okay. Yes. In the second stop of the work, we make a careful observation of the Suphannabat inscription collected by the museum, and we decipher the words that carved in the inscription. it's said there's some main informations in the inscription. The first one is the name of the king of the Siam, and the second one is the name of the king of Qing court, and the second one is the invoice. The invoice's name. It's like the first, and the fourth one is a goal to send this tribute invoice. It includes 4 parts informations. If you want to get more detailed information about the inscription, maybe you can search the paper in the internet. I have write some papers. Yes, thank you.
ค่ะก็เดี๋ยวขออนุญาตแปลทางผู้ถามที่เป็นภาษาจีนนิดนึงนะคะแต่ว่าพอฟังคำตอบน่าจะพอเห็นถามเข้าใจคำถามภาษาจีนละค่ะก็คือว่าเมื่อกี้ที่ท่านถามก็คือว่าเนื้อหาในพระสุพรรณบัตรเขียนอะไรบ้างนะคะซึ่งก็ทางอาจารย์ซุนเจ๋อหลี่ก็เลยบอกว่ามันก็จะมีชื่อของกษัตริย์ทางฝั่งไทยเนาะแล้วก็ชื่อจักรพรรดิฝั่งจีนนะคะชื่อลายนามของราชทูตที่ไปนะคะแล้วก็เป้าหมายของการส่งทูตไปในครั้งนี้นะคะแต่ทีนี้ก็คืออาจารย์ก็ทำรีเสิร์ชไว้แล้วเดี๋ยวก็คือจะมีบทความเขียนเกี่ยวกับเนื้อหาอันนี้นะคะเดี๋ยวอาจจะตอนหลังเลิกงานหลังจากประชุมเสร็จอะไรเงี้ยค่ะเผื่ออาจจะแลกเปลี่ยนข้อมูลกันต่อได้นะคะเมื่อกี้ที่คุยกันนะคะ
So I have a question. You found this Suphannabat only in Qing dynasty, right? Or is it any evidence that Siam sent any other Suphannabat to China before that?
Yes, this inscription, Suphannabat inscription, the time is just belong to the Qing dynasty. Before the Qing dynasty, the inscription that before the Qing dynasty we can find all of these 20 suits of Suphannabat of inscription, not only delivered by Siam or delivered by Burma. All of these are Qing dynasty. Yeah, yes.
Thank you, Khun Suncheli, and questions and Assistant Professor Dr. อาชิรัตน์ ชัยพจน์ พานิชค่ะ
ขอขอบคุณคุณซุนเจ๋อหลี่แล้วก็ผู้เข้าร่วมเสวนารวมถึงอาจารย์ดร.อาชิรัตน์ ชัยพจน์ พานิชค่ะ
In the next topic will be a lecture on the topic of visual representation of Buddhist cosmology in Theravada, Southeast Asia during the 12th to the 18th centuries by Assistant Professor Dr. Ran Song from Peking University, China.
ลำดับถัดไปจะเป็นการบรรยายในหัวข้อ Virtual Representation of Buddhist Cosmology in Theravada, Southeast Asia during 12th to 18th century โดยผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดร.รันสงจากมหาวิทยาลัยปักกิ่งประเทศจีนค่ะ
Assistant Professor Dr. Ran Song is a professor at the Department of Southeast Asia Studies, the Faculty of Foreign Languages, Peking University, which has many works and also publications such as Concept to a Realistic World, Interpreting Hell in the Traipum Image Book, and The Center, Marking, Identity, Others, through the perspective of art history, etc.
ผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดรหรันสงเป็นอาจารย์ประจำภาควิชาเอเชียตะวันออกเฉียงใต้ศึกษาคณะภาษาศาสตร์มหาวิทยาลัยปักกิ่งท่านมีผลงานและสิ่งพิมพ์ออกมามากมายเช่นจากมโนคติถึงโลกเสมือนจริงตีความเรื่องนรกภูมิขออภัยค่ะตีความเรื่องนรกในสมุดภาพไตรภูมิศูนย์กลางชายขอบตัวตนคนอื่นผ่านมุมมองประวัติศาสตร์ศิลปะเป็นต้น
May I invite Assistant Professor Dr. Ran Song, a professor at the Department of Southeast Asia Studies, the Faculty of Foreign Languages, Peking University, to begin the lecture.
ลำดับถัดไปขอเชิญผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดรหรันสงบรรยายในหัวข้อ Virtual Representation of Buddhist Cosmology in Theravada Southeast Asia during 12th to 18th century ขอเรียนเชิญค่ะ
First of all, I would like to extend my special thanks to the Faculty of Archaeology for the support to guide me to the temples of the beautiful paintings around the Bangkok and Phetchaburi and some areas. And special thanks to Professor Chirat and Professor Prapat for the support. Today I'm going to talk about a very long history topic. It's about the Buddhist cosmology. We know in the study of Southeast Asian history and religious culture, cosmology has always been a topic of continuous attention and discussion, with a particular focus on the cosmological ideas originated from India. The cosmological beliefs of Hinduism and Buddhism encountered Southeast Asia around the 1st century AD. For a considerable period of time, the ideologies of Hinduism and different sects of Buddhism coexisted and intermingled in this area, in this region. From the 12th century onwards, with the establishment of the connections between mainland Southeast Asia countries and Sri Lanka Buddhism, or we can use the word Professor Prapot used ascendancy of the Theravada Buddhism. Shared Pali imaginary Buddhist culture and ideology gradually formed. So descriptions of Buddhist cosmology began to appear more frequently in Buddhist cultural centers such as Peking and central Siam kingdoms. So this paper comprehensively collects Buddhist cosmological images that appear in the aforementioned region from the 12th to 18th century, with the intention of exploring the process of construction and gradual systematization of a doctrine system about the composition of the world within the indigenous knowledge sphere of Southeast Asia through the interpretation of these images. In the study of ancient religions in Southeast Asia, where the written archives are severely lacking, these visual materials can serve as supplementary evidence of how the Indian cosmological ideas were discreetly integrated into Southeast Asian local cultures and religious practices. A lot of works have been done by the scholars, namely there's and I have listed here, and especially Professor Niyada Lausunthon, who has done the textual histories of the Draipumikatha, and also Professor Peter Skilling, who is sitting here, with the work Cosmological at the Crossroads, the Harvard Draipum manuscripts. Based on the currently available materials, the Loga Tegaban Shirin in Pagan preserves the earliest Buddhist cosmological murals on the mainland Southeast Asia, which dated back to approximately 12th centuries. Similar to most of the temple murals in Pagan period, the murals in Loga Tegaban Shirin mainly depicted the Chardak tales and the life of the Buddha, with cosmological images appearing in the scene of the preaching at the heaven of the 33 gods, or the Dawadeng. Sorry, the pictures is not very clear because I caught it from Professor Claudian Pickram. According to Professor Claudian, the description, the scenes which are painted have been divided into 3 parts. You can see the lower part depicts the encounter of Sumeta and Buddha Dipagara. And the middle part shows the Buddha ascending and descending from the top of the mountain Sumeru and along the 3-tiered staircase. The upper part depicts the scene of the Buddha sitting among the celestial beings, the Brahma beings, preaching to Mahamaya Devi. In these narrative scenes, there are various symbols or icons representing cosmological beliefs, such as the central Mount Sumeru, the 7 golden mountains, and the sun, the moon, and the stars. The mural as a whole visually emphasizes the image of the Buddha as the master of the universe of 6 directions. And Professor Paul Pickram suggests that this set of images may have been created based on a certain Indian templates, which has been lost, and subsequently, the preachings at the Dawadeng murals that appeared in Peking in the later periods may probably be based on the Loga Tegaban Shirin as the prototype. Similar cosmological symbols can be found repeatedly in the monument 1077 and on the cliff walls of the more recent Pakdong stone cave entrance. Largely due to the deeply rooted worship of Sakyamuni Buddha in India, early Buddhist art was primarily focused on depicting the past lives of the Buddha and life of the Buddha. The image of Buddha's preaching on the Dawadengsa is among the earliest and most widely spread themes in Indian and Asian Buddhist arts, leaving a significant imprint in Southeast Asia as well. The pictures are taken, these 2 pictures, one is from the Senchi, and one is from the, Parahuta. Probably in the Parahuta are much more earlier. And we can see they already depicted things, the descending of the Buddha from the Dawadeng, and clearly there were the 3 staircases in the middle. So the pagan murals in the 17th centuries and onward continued the long-standing tradition of depicting this scene, but they also exhibit some noteworthy local characteristics. And the first one is we can see the pillar-like Mount Meru, which can be seen in the later period again and again. It is very corresponds to the descriptions in the discourse on the record of the world, which there is a Chinese translation around 5th centuries. And the Chinese just I'll translate it in English again. The mountain rises straight up without any slopes. 其山直上无有阿曲. And the visually presents the concept of the world axis. Maybe the pillar-like visually presents the concept of the world axis. In terms of the symbolic meaning, it may be associated with the ancient pillar worship in India. Akira Miyagi pointed out that the pillar worship reflects the concept of a cosmic axis and a cosmic tree, connecting the earthly world with the divine heavenly world. Also, Southeast Asian indigenous beliefs also include the worship of a central pillar. For example, when constructing a house or city, a pillar must be erected first, as it is believed to be the center where supernatural powers gather. In the aforementioned preaching images, Mount Sumeru serves as the central axis, connecting the human realms and the celestial realm. Its form and presentation represent the collective understanding and perception of the pagan devotees regarding this cosmological concept in the 12th century. Also, we can see the symmetric 7 divine mountains. In pagan murals, these 7 divine mountains are represented by the symmetric arrangement of the 7 pillar-like mountains on both sides of Mount Sumeru, gradually decreasing in height from the center to the sides. This symmetric composition creates a sense of solemn order and is often experienced as stable, with all orderly arrangements expressing tranquility. The sense of order is based on understanding the relative positions and distances of the depicted symbols, which are often specified by specific numbers in textual scriptures. However, in order to present them in a 2-dimensional plane, a certain visual language is required. The use of a symmetric high-to-low arrangement highlights the spatial relationship and sequence of Mount Sumeru and the 7 divine mountains. It outlines the structure of the central part of the Chakravan in a shape resembling a cross-sectional view. When viewers can recognize the meaning and imagery of the cosmological from this visual pattern, it indicates that their cognitive world has already stored an impressions and collection of these cosmological elements. The pillar-like mountains gradually ascending towards the center of the picture also gradually guide the viewer's gaze to the top of the Mount Sumeru, where the state of blessings and merits is to be reverently admired with an upward gaze. Also, there appears the spatial markers. There are spatial markers which are the Tusa Jedi and the Julamani Jedi. So these spatial symbols carry the collective knowledge of a specific significance. These symbols carry the collective knowledge of specific populations and are typical images extracted by painters from the perceptible experimental world, used as symbols for non referring to unknown, and the real referring to imagery. In the reality experienced by Southeast Asian Buddhists, palaces, statues, and Buddhist halls are the most closely related to the sacredness of the physical environment. When they appear in murals, they often became symbolic representations of the dwelling places of deities. Elements such as Julamani Jedi and Tusa Jedi, the Vaicharan Prasad and Sumatha Assembly Hall, and the Parichat tree also appear in celestial image of Logathegapan Shirin and appeared in later Buddhist cosmological images, all becoming typical markers for representing the spatial dimension of Buddhist celestial realms. These objects are all derived from the tales of Buddha's enlightenment and are familiar to inhabitants where Buddhism has disseminated. They are important memorabilia related to the path of Buddha's enlightenment and has then become symbols referred to specific spheres of Buddhist heavens. And then in the pre-modern Siam, there was a type of Buddhist cosmological theme painting called Draipum, or the Three Worlds, which are very familiar to the audiences, I suspect. these kinds of paintings was very popular in the areas around the capital city, around the lower reaches of the Chao Phraya River. This painting tradition has continued from Ayutthaya Kingdom to Thonburi and the Bangkok Kingdom. However, most of the original murals have been destroyed in wars, and what can still be seen today are mostly works from 18th to 19th century. The most earlier survival murals of the dry pool, there are two. One is in Wat Puthai Sawan in Ayutthaya and dated from around late 17th to early 18th century. But most of the images are fuzzy to recognize. The other one, relatively complete, is located in Wat Kaw Kyao Sutharam in Phetchaburi, dated 1734. So from the paintings in the Wat Kaw, we can see the composition of a painting genie, which is called the Drai Pum. The painting of the three worlds is in Wat Kaw is located on the wall opposite the main Buddha statue in the ordination hall. The image at the bottom of the painting has been lost. And on the remaining part of the painting, the 7 divine mountains symmetrically arranged on both sides, so we can see the similar icons when compared to the pagan period. But what is important that from this part, we can see the painters has highlights or has added more icons. For example, the 27 constellations, we can see the dots around the palace, lots of dots, which resembles the 27 constellations, and that reflects the use of astronomical knowledge. The Moon Palace and Sun Palace are located below Mount Sumeru on the left and right, respectively. And below the Moon Palace on the left, there's an image of the broken body of Rahu, who is believed to cause the solar and lunar eclipse. The left and right edges of the painting are adjacent to the location of the door panels, each with a half pillar-shaped mountain. We can see the Khao Chakravan next to the door. So it's a very full depiction of what we can get from the later period of the Drai Pum painting. But from this scene in the Wat Kaw, although it still preserves the ancient and widely disseminated Buddhist narrative elements of the Buddha preaching in Dawadong, however, the emphasis of the composition is no longer the continuity of the preaching moments and events, but on the spatial representation of the scene, relinquishing temporal narrative scenes. The proportional distribution of the 3 central figures, the Buddha, Brahma, and Indra, along with other symbolic elements representing the cosmic space, indicates a balanced arrangement. This may signify artistic evolution, but it also demonstrates that the focus of the painting is no longer solely on the preaching events themselves, but rather on the positions and states of beings in a world centered around the Buddha. The plot of the Buddha's preaching is embedded within the scene of Dawadong, becoming a symbolic event representing the divine world. Well, due to the partial loss of the pictorial composition, the full extent of the 3 worlds in Siam cannot be ascertained from the murals in Wat Kaw alone. However, by comparing with images from other temples, it can be inferred that a complete 3 worlds should also depict the 4 major continents floating on the salty ocean, especially the scene of Chongpu Tawib, where humans reside. A gilded lacquered painting on the 17th to 18th century cabinet door presents the configurational features of the Siamese 3 worlds in a more compact manner. The entire composition is divided into 2 parts by a serrated pattern. The upper part of the painting, consistent with what God's 3 worlds, uses a vertical composition to depict Mount Sumeru, the 7 divine mountains, and so on, where the lower part of the painting uses a horizontal composition from left to right, starting with the Anodat, depicting the holy pond, holy river, and flora and fauna along the river banks in the snowy mountains, presenting the geographical landscape extending along the horizontal axis of Chongpu Tawib. So Davadumsa and Anodat in this painting are the most prominent images in the upper and lower parts of the composition, respectively, with one representing the center of the heaven, Devalok, and the other symbolizing the central land of Chongpu Tawib, or in Chinese we have the word Zhongdi, the source of rivers essential for human survival and also representing the center of the human world, Manusalo. So when we try to trace the origin of this word, it's very hard. And I will go quick. But there is an inscription in Peking, the inscription in Cambodian. They have the word Draipum. I will use the translation from articles written by King Sok. And in this inscription, it mentioned a high Buddhist monk repaired the damaged Buddha statues and coated them with lacquer and gold powder. And then he offered a Draipum scrolls to the Buddha image. And also, there's no other records of the word Draipum exist. But from the Silajaru or the inscriptions in Wat Po, we find inscription from the first reign of the Radha-Dagosin period. Also, there's the word Draipum. So what we can get from this, the informations are very little. But the naming of this 3-word cosmology may signify that the popularity of the 3-word theme painting, it is a manifestation of the continuous strengthening of this Buddhist cosmological worldview in the process of constructing the central monarchy. And the last, there is another genre of the cosmological paintings. There are 2 kinds. One kind is in the Bailan or the mulberry leaves, but mainly find it in Myanmar, in Burma. And another is the Samut Khoi in Thai, and also there's in Myanmar too. And the earliest existing Draipum Samutpap or illustrated manuscripts dated to 1776, which was commissioned by the Thonburi king, Pajao Taksin. So from this, there are many these kinds of manuscripts exist, and there are in the Khom, and there are also in Lanna the scripts, and also there are Burmese. So the emergence and popularity of these kinds of cosmological diagrammatic scripture signifies the knowledge and systemization of local Buddhist cosmological images. From the perspective of the knowledge formation during this period, there were a lot of Pali literatures which are called by Professor Skillin the Logasad. Among them, there are many, like the Chakravan Tipani or the Loga Panyat, and so on. So the development of these kinds of manuscript culture, centered on Buddhist cosmology, indicates the formation of a systematic doctrine explaining how the universe and world are constituted in the local knowledge field. Not only has its content obtained orthodox confirmation at the doctrinal level and been repeatedly studied and transmitted by monks, but it has also been practically standardized through illustrated scripts, forming a knowledge circle system composed jointly of sponsors, monks, craftsmen, and collectors. And also, we can see this kind of manuscripts is far from the sacred scriptures. It has practical uses as well, because in the front, in the backside, there are maps of the. We can see the continents, and we can see the places' names. So it drew the line with the people who read it. And drew the lines of the past, present, and future, and drew the Buddha's time and space with the practical or the real world they are in. It's not just what they view the world, but also how they locate themselves in the world that they live. And also, the paintings in the manuscripts, they showed an ordered universe of Gamma and Bunya. We can see the dividing of this dualistic visual language. In the divine heavens, the paintings are very beautiful. They use the colors, the red colors, and the yellow and green. And when it depicts the hill world, they use the dark colored. So when the readers read these two parts, they all follows the concept of the good and evil deeds. So on the moral level, and strengthening their devoutness in practicing generosity, observance of precepts, and following the Dhamma on the religious level. So I will have a little summary. I will not call it a conclusion. So these elements of Buddhist cosmology have been increasingly appearing in various image materials, including temple murals, the gilded decorations on door of scriptural cabinets, palm leaves, and folded page manuscript illustrations. On one hand, this reflects the inheritance and continuation of the earlier cosmological tradition in Southeast Asia regions influenced by the Indian culture. On the other hand, it demonstrates the integration, application, and development of cosmological ideas by local society in the new religious and political environment. From the initial depiction of spatial scenes in Buddhist narrative murals to the development of a rich system of symbols representing various heavens, the human world, the health world, and even the orbits of planets, the intentions to elaborate on the space and human dwelling place become increasingly prominent, and the content of this system continues to grow and expand. And what we can go further on is the functions of the Buddhist temples and the court, how they function in constructing the local knowledge. And within this function also can throw the light to the comparison between the manuscripts inscribed on the mulberry leaves, the Draipumikatha, which are dated 1778, and the one that was commissioned by the Thonburi king, dated 1776, the illustrated ones. These two manuscripts should be taken as the two genus, but they, of course, have connections with each other, but not linear connections. So there are more works that needs to be done by close reading and comparison to these two works, and also to the works that may have intertextual connections with these kinds of work. So that's all for today, and thank you for the attendance. Any suggestions and critiques are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you to Assistant Professor Dr. Ransong, a professor at the Department of Southeast Asia Studies, the Faculty of Foreign Languages, Peking University.
ขอบคุณผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดร.รันสงจากภาควิชาเอเชียตะวันออกเฉียงใต้ศึกษามหาวิทยาลัยปักกิ่งค่ะ
If participants has questions, please inform the staff. Thank you.
หากท่านใดต้องการสอบถามผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดร.รันสงเพิ่มเติมสามารถติดต่อสตาฟได้เลยค่ะ
Okay. Thank you, Assistant Professor Dr. Ransong and participants.
ขอบคุณผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดร.รันสงอีกครั้งค่ะ
Dear all participants, this is now 10 and 10 a.m. We would like to take 30 minutes break. The organizer have provided some snacks and beverage on the first floor for all participants. For speakers, the snacks and beverage are provided at the backstage. We will come back to this auditorium again to resume our program at 10:40 a.m. Thank you.
ณ ตอนนี้เป็นเวลา 10:10 นาทีขอเชิญทุกท่านพักผ่อนตามอัธยาศัยเป็นเวลา 30 นาทีโดยทางผู้จัดงานได้เตรียมอาหารว่างและเครื่องดื่มไว้ที่บริเวณโถงด้านล่างหอประชุมแล้วค่ะสำหรับท่านวิทยากรเราได้เตรียมอาหารว่างและเครื่องดื่มไว้ทางด้านหลังเวทีเราจะกลับเข้าสู่การเสวนาอีกครั้งในเวลา 10:40 นาทีค่ะ